Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Renku here from Danshi Guard. And, yeah, I know we've been gone for quite a while, but the new job has me working a lot more than what I was. However, we're going to start off the first video after a while with a bang. I'm bringing you a deck profile, and this deck I've been working on ever since EVO 6 came out. And it's going to be Blasters. Now, I know that everybody has seen the older build for Blasters where it was just centered around Blaster Blade, but this time around we got the new grade 3 Messianic Lord Blaster. Now I'm just going to give my little bit of opinion before I start the profile that the way that this deck runs, for me personally, it's a lot better than the other one because you don't need to focus solely around one rear guard. This one, as you'll see through the deck profile, you'll know that it doesn't center around just Blaster Blade. So we're going to start off with the starter. Of course, you've just seen it. It's everyone's favorite puppy dog, Wingle Brave. I opted to play the draw one at first, but I decided not to. I thought that this was good. This was a little better. It tutors out anything that I need. Grade 1, Grade 2, Grade 3, whatever I need. And then now we're going to go to the Grade 3s. So, starting off with the main Grade 3 and the one you always want to ride as much as possible, 4 Messianic Lord Blaster. Now, it really depending on what matchup you go against, especially, and this is a premium deck profile. I apologize for not saying that sooner, but obviously Wingle Brave, you know. But depending on if you go first, will depend on if you just outright beat your opponent. I've had a lot of matches where I would go first, even going second. If they don't have a perfect guard, they can't guard the immense amount of power that this card generates. And if you really need to, this deck also can generate multi-attacks. But most of the time, you're just going to swing with your Vanguard once. And if they can't PG, I mean, obviously, if they're at grade 2 and you go first, they can't really guard it. So if they do, they're going to waste all their cards in hand. So, as far as Force 2 goes, I do not think I would ever run Force 2 in this deck. I think Force 1 is just fine. Now, we got 4 other alternate grade 3s. So, I opted to play 2 of the Blaster Blade Exceed. And, granted, you want to ride the Messianic as much as possible. I mean, if you don't go first, you're probably not going to use Messianic skill. Unless you can guarantee your opponent's, loss right then and there. Which, that does come up a lot with this deck, too. But this is also another alternate ride target. I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, you get to search out a Blaster Blade. I mean, we still play Blaster Blade, even though the deck's not centered around it. And then the final grade 3, New Style Blaster Blue. Now, I've had a lot of different opinions about me playing this. I think this would be the best alternate grade 3, just because of the fact that you'll always have a blaster unit on Vanguard. So, if you need that extra 5k intercept, this is here as an option. You can even guard with it from hand. And it gets 5k shield. And no, it's a continuous ability, so the new Ichi Stride does not stop that 5k from happening. And on top of that, if you really need to recycle cards back into your deck so you don't deck out, this deck can deck out a lot through personal playtesting. You can recycle your Blaster Blades. So, a lot of utility, but at the same time, it's probably not the most ideal ride target. Alright, for grade 2s, which are going to seem really weird, we're going to start off with 3 Blaster Arrow. Now, I'm pretty sure a lot of our viewers, and feel free to leave the comments down there and let me know what you think. Let us know what you think about the ratios of this deck and any opinions that you might have. But I've had a lot of people ask me, why only 3? The reason is because while you want consistency, at the same time, you want to make more room for different blaster units. So, which is why a lot of the units in the deck are played at 3 or even some 2 of. And you can tutor them out. So your chances of them going into the damage zone on, your first grade 1 ride, when your opponent rides to grade 1, even if they rush you, is pretty low. And not to mention, you can tutor this out as well in the later game. I mean, granted, we do not play the grade 3 that goes off with its effect, but we don't need, the grade 4, but we don't need to. It's just not necessary in the deck. And that would just be another hindrance, and then you have to make more room for it. But granted, anyone that wants to take this deck list, you can do whatever you want with it. I implore you. Different ideas are definitely good. Then we do 3 Blaster Rapier. Now, Blaster Rapier, I think, is probably the second best card in this deck because of the fact that you get to check the top card. I mean, in a deck like Blaster, let's be honest, being able to check the top card of your deck for a trigger, even before your Vanguard attack, is pretty disgusting. Pretty disgusting. And again, this is under the same concept as the 3 Blaster Arrow because I want to have a certain amount of consistency, and at the same time I needed to make room for more Blaster units. And then the final grade 2 is Blaster Blade, because no Blaster deck is complete without Blaster Blade. Again, this is another... I didn't want to run 4 of it because it was not necessary. Too many dead draws, too many same names. I just didn't want to chance it. Especially when you want to try to get the victory if you go first. The nice spiffy IMR. And then, finally, we get to the last grade 2s. Now, these are all backups, but they actually work out. So, we have 1 Blaster Blade Spirit. Granted, I don't ever use the skill when it's called from the deck, and there are a lot of times when it's called from the deck, which you will see later on. But, in general, it's a 10k attacker. It can do the same thing that the V version Blaster Blade can do, as far as like the defensive capabilities, but not the offensive. Well, only on Vanguard as well. Like if your opponent just attacks it when it's on rearguard, even if you guard it, it dies. You just neg 1,000 cards, and there's no reason for that. I haven't used the Counterblast effect yet. It's never come up. Because again, most of the time I'm just going to swing at their Vanguard with the Vanguard, and they're probably going to lose, or they're going to perfect guard, and then I have to try to struggle for another turn to kill them. The next grade 2 is Blaster Blade Seeker. He's not in here for any other reason other than being a blaster name. That's it. There's no other reason. Well, sorry, I lied. He's spiffy. It's shiny. I like shiny stuff. And then the last grade 2 actually has a little more purpose than the other 2 do. Blaster Dark. I mean, why not? In Premium, you can play up to 4 Blaster Dark in your Royal Paladin deck, so I figured, heck, why not just play 1 Blaster Dark to round out the other names? And I have 3 different names out of those 3 grade 2s alone, so it definitely helps. And it's very consistent. You would think this deck wouldn't be consistent, but it is actually. It's quite consistent. Alright, now for the grade 1s. We're going to start off the roundup with 2 of the Swordsman of Light Blaster Rapier Lara. Now, this is the same thing as the Seeker and the other grade 2s and different names. It's just in here for a blaster name. And also to keep the consistency with Winglebrave. If your opponent can just let that hit, then you're good to go. If you don't have your Messianic, you can search your Messianic. You don't have your Dark, you can search your Blaster Dark for your grade 2 ride. It opens up a lot of windows for the Winglebrave. Then the next grade 1. 3 of the Blaster Dagger. Yes, I will eventually get 2 more of the Shingo Kamui Blaster Dagger. Yeah, I will, but not right now. But again, he comes in actually a lot more clutch than you would think. Especially when you have a lot of cards in your hand that are higher grade, like the different blaster units and the grade 3s and all that stuff. He can give them boost. So he makes them a lot more relevant than in the normal blaster build that we had before with, you know, Blaster Blade or lose. So this card is really good. I hate playing against it as standard, though. It's kind of annoying because if you don't perfect guard it, you pretty much lose to the Messianic turn. Then the next grade 1 is 3 copies of Blaster Javelin. He's really good. He's really good. Very, very good. I would not take him out for anything. I don't care if there's another grade 1 in the next set that's insanely busted. I wouldn't care. I wouldn't take it out. Then 3 of the Blaster Friend Barkgull. Now, yeah, we don't play 4 Blaster Blades, but the counter charge does come up a lot more than you would think. And I was surprised too. At first I was only going to play like 1 or 2. But then I decided, you know what? I've got room for like 1 or 2 more grade 1s, so we'll just throw the last one in there for, you know, gung-ho. And believe it or not, it actually worked out. It keeps up more consistency with being able to ride a blaster. And like I said earlier, the counter charge does come up, and it does come in handy. Now, this build does not really use counterblast that much, but there will be times where you'll want to do a lot of stuff, especially later in the game. And then to round off the grade 1s, playing 13 2-strike nailers. I wasn't going to play any Stride Enablers because of the amount of grade 3s that I could tutor out, possibly, because of Wingo Brave. But then I thought, you know what? I'll put 2 Stride Enablers in there for now and see how it tests. And believe it or not, it's quite balanced. I really like it. I really do like it. I think it works out very well. Especially when you want to keep riding your Messianics, but then your other grade 3s that are backup, you can just use those for Stride. So this definitely helps. Now the final, we're going to move on to the grade 0s. So obviously, we play 4 heals. There were a couple moments where I wanted to play more crits, but then I thought, if I play crits, yeah, I got more offense, but then there goes a little more defense. Especially when I can, G-guard a couple times if I go first, and then try to do some stride plays later to get rid of my opponent's perfect guards or just dwindle their resources down and even possibly win that turn. So far, I mean, they worked out pretty well. I've used them for guard early game. So then we play 4 draw PG. As far as the end grade 1 that only works with blaster grade 3s, I didn't want to play it, number 1, because it was a grade 1 that didn't have blaster in the name, so that would take away a lot from what the deck wants to do. And secondly, being able to not guard on grade 1 or 2 if you really need to, the really rare chance, was something that I wasn't willing to risk. So I just decided, forget it, let's just play the draw PGs and see how it works. And again, it's been working very well. So I'm very pleased with the trigger lineup. And then we play 4 of the Premium Collection crit. And then we play 2 Bringer of Good Luck Epona and 2 Flogel. Now, I mean, again, the crits are in there because obviously you can crit your opponent out. Granted, you have your Messianic to do it. But in those chances where you don't really want to risk going the grade, just staying at grade 3 on the stride turn, or early game even, you can try to crit your opponent out early too. You can still ride the Blaster Blade and call a bunch of rear guards and try to rush them. But that's something that I wouldn't do too often. Just because later game you won't have any resources. Your opponent's going to attack all your rear guards. They're going to try to retire all your rear guards. So it's not really worth the risk. But overall, with the trigger lineup in the main deck has been working exceptionally well. I had a couple people playtest the deck themselves, like using it, and they really liked it. They enjoyed it. And I think after I establish that build and it becomes solid, I'm probably never going to do the Blaster Blade multi-attack deck again, just because I believe that this deck is a little better. Now we're going to move on to the G-Zone. So we're going to start off with Seabreeze. Though it's very rare that I ever go into it, if I go into it, I've been slowly learning that taking Seabreeze out of a lot of decks was a mistake. Having it in there for that scare tactic, if your opponent wants to play grade 2 game, and granted, you do not want to play grade 2 game against the Blaster deck, because they're not going to care. They're just going to ride the Messianic, and you ain't got no perfect guard, that's game over. But having this there is decent enough. And if you don't use it in the early game, you can just use it late game for flip fodder. Then 2 Alfreds. We still play Blaster Blade, we can still tutor it out, so I figured why not. Had them laying around, just figured I'd put them to use. I've gone into it a couple times. We play 1 Progenitor Dragon. It's another alternate way to mitigate some costs and try to keep some resources. It does work, but then you'll have those games where you've got like your whole deck in your hand and you just you won't even want to guard. But it doesn't come up as often. And then 1 Ultima, we can still Ultima. I mean, we play 3 different grade 3s, we play multiples of each, and we can tutor them all out. So if we really want to turn 1 or turn 2 or turn 3 stride into Ultima, it's there, but there's no stand triggers, there's no other tech in there, so there's no real reason to go into it unless you have no other choice per se. But it's there. It's just a good option. Like any Zeroth Dragon in almost every deck is still a good option. And then 3 of this guy. Why was this created? Why was this card created? This card is so insane. Especially in this deck, when you can have your Blaster grade 2 swing, look at top card, alright, well, I don't need it. let's just leave it there anyway. The deck's going to get shuffled. Swing with another rear guard. Then you can swing with the Vanguard. Get 2 more grade 2s out. They get power. This card is so good. I think this card was specifically designed for a deck like this. Granted, you could run it in that mile. You can run it in almost every Royal Paladin deck. But I think that this deck specifically just shines more with this deck. This card is such a pressure mechanism. There's no other way to explain it. There's no other way to explain it. It's so freaking good. I would not replace this with anything. If anything, I would up this by 1 more. But for now, we're just going with 3. And then to round off the strides, we play 3 Ganslots. Believe it or not, I don't stride into him that often. I don't. I just don't. I don't feel the necessity to sometimes. Because this one, overall, is a better pressure mechanism and a better stride to first stride into with this deck. So being able to get all of your resources out of your deck that you don't need or certain cards that you want on the field, you know, going against Kagero, you can swing with your rear guards, try to bait out a lot of their G guards like their Flaming Chickens and stuff like that. And then you can just use the skill to call out a protection grade 2 and something else. Give them power and just make it so your opponent can't touch your field at all. So yeah, this card is really good. And then you just use it to flip up the Gansalot. So that way if you do have a Blaster Blade and you call that out of deck, and you got a Force Marker on the rear guard, it's protected anyway. So it's a win-win situation for you, no matter what. Now we're going to go to the G-Guards. The G-Guards are, I mean, there's nothing really special. 3 Marins. It'll possibly get changed to 2 Marins and then 1 Dismal, just because there are times where you want to keep your rear guard on board, but at the same time, you don't have the protection of all the cards because you don't want to use all of your resources at once. And then the one of Great Flash Assault. She's come up a couple times, but I mean, it's still a good option to have. You're always going to have a Blaster Vanguard, so that not having her in the deck's not a lose, and then not using her is not a lose situation either. And then just one of the Holy Beasts. I didn't want to play anymore because this deck's not centered around GB8. So there's really no reason. I mean, the G-Guards are still in progress. They're still being tested out and stuff like that. But I'm not playing any of the ones that are for Otmile. There's no reason. They don't really do anything. But, I mean, that's the deck. Like I said, you know, leave a comment. Please give us a thumbs up. Hit that, mash that button. Just mash it. Any of those would be highly appreciated. We would love the criticism, anything. You know, subscribe. Get your friends to subscribe. Check out our videos. Very soon we're going to be doing a lot more videos.
Not to mention live streaming on Twitch if we can.
Yeah, we are also in the process of setting up something on Twitch where we can try to live stream. We can also live stream on YouTube. We just need to find a better opportunity to do it. Because a lot of the events that we've gone to in the last few weeks, and then like the course of like the last few months, we haven't really been able to record. You know, because we have so much stuff with us, and we have so many things we have to do, and filling out deck profile, filling out deck list, and making sure that we're all set for the tournament. And then at the same time doing all this, trying to go around and find stuff that we need. So that's really been filling our heads, but it's calmed down a lot. I mean, the Bushiroad season is going to be coming up in the fall. We got a 1K coming up. So if any of you are going to be at Gone Gaming, shout-outs to you guys, by the way. You guys' store is awesome. If you got anybody's going to be there that are watching our channel, please come to us, hit us up, say hi. Don't ever be hesitant to say hi to us. You know, even at big events, like we're always open to hang out, play some games. If we're busy, you know, I apologize in advance. You know, we will get to you. You know, at the event, we'll probably let you know. Look, you know, we're busy. We got a couple things we have to do, but you know, you guys want to play some games? We want to welcome any decks that you've seen on our channel. If you want us to bring them out, if you got any questions, if you want to see new builds, like just ask. We're not shy, and we'll definitely show you if you want to use them. We'll even let you use the decks against us. Like, we don't care.
Like, you can easily spot me. If you can only see me, I can easily bring you to Renko.
Yeah. Yeah, being able to spot Joker is pretty easy, but spotting me is a little difficult for some odd reason. It should be the reverse. But yeah.
My phone's small.
Yeah. But, I mean, if any of you do see her and you don't see me, like she just mentioned, you're more than welcome to ask her you know, hey, where's Rinku? You know, can you take us to him? You know, can we all hang out? Can we like play games and stuff? Can we play some games? Even Joker at events will play some games against you. She's always eager to play Darker Regulars all the time. Well, her new thing now is she was into the like Leon. She's into Leon now from Vanguard. Yeah. So, but with that, we want to cut the video. But we will see everyone very soon. We're gonna try to do some more videos this week. Try to catch up. Let everybody know what's going on. We might even do a sit-down video, just letting you guys know what's been going on with us in the last few months and why we haven't really been posting any videos or anything like that. But with that being said, Renku and Jokers, we're out.